is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
Is it obvious to you which one is which? We got a little battle here today and just a philosophical argument on whether Micro Four Thirds I'm not looking at. I'm just trying to see if Micro Four Thirds has a future in my heart. I don't see the point. It used to be like the perfect little compact system, but now the Fuji. Oh, you've replaced it. We got the Fuji XT4 with the Samyang 12mm Tony-2 versus the GH5s with the Voigtlander 10.5mm Tony 0.95 at 1.4 right now, but we'll get to the point proven in that method. We're just in Eterna on the Fuji and Panasonic has the Cine V. We could both be in log, but what am I, a lumberjack? Oh god. Who writes these? Was it you, Steve? Is one more pleasing than the other, the colors? Just what I've noticed is the Fuji, I prefer the colors coming out of it compared to the Panasonic. Panasonic has weird reddish, orange, yellowy, I don't understand the colors. When I wear a red shirt, it's orange. Fuji, maybe my skin's a little redder. I don't mind. Cinema skin. The reality is, the Fuji system, better dynamic range than almost anything. It's better than the R5 and R6. Like, it's so good. It's stupid good. I don't understand how. Maybe it's the X-Trans sensor. Because most sensors, here's a little science lesson for you. Most sensors have an RGB format. Red, blue, and green. The Fuji uses purple, turquoise, and mauve in an array. There's a 3x4 format allowing more light but deflecting it where it's not. I don't know what kind of Fuji voodoo magic is in this camera, but when I take the Panasonics outside, I notice the dynamic range decrease. We got clip and highlights everywhere and they fear my heart. They fear me. The Olympus, fantastic camera, but I noticed the dynamic range now. It's not as pleasing. And the thing is, this is the heavier camera. The Panasonic, this little setup at least. Oh my. Oh, the glory. No stabilization either. Although it's so smooth. I'm just wondering where the Panasonic advantage is. It's bigger, heavier, there's no stabilization, worse dynamic range, terrible autofocus, and the lenses are a lie. I have no idea if these are perfectly exposed compared to each other. Like, the meter's saying we're at 0 EV, whereas on the Fuji we're at like minus almost 1, but it doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes sense. If I go up to 0, now we're 0 each, that looks a lot brighter and overexposed, and that's 3200 ISO versus 800. Give me a break. Now, one thing I want to talk about on the Panasonic, if you want a blurry background, you can get it. It's not like you can't. The 12mm f1.4. Tony, you could stop this madness right now if you just make a little video saying, okay, I'll try f5.6, haha, you got me, I can't do it. We could end this right now, but we're not gonna, because you can't admit it. Admit what? I don't know. So point is, you can obviously get some background blur, but if you want the full frame level, like a 1.8 full frame, you have some f0.95 lenses, but when you do it, here we are now, 0.95, overexposed by 1/2 a stop. It's so soft now, compared to the Fuji at a Tony-2. 3 equivalent. We're 1.7 equivalent right now. Blurrier background, blurrier forearms for the hug vlogs. This is a new thing. Philip invented it. You didn't know your camera was trusted. How are you gonna trust it? Where's the camera? People ask. It's like, oh, what's the camera doing? Now you know. It's being held in loving arms. I can't really tell if I'm in focus anymore. It's so minimal, that field, but it's so soft. So all the f0.95 lenses are soft. That's the one I bought, the Mitacon. That's why I got into Micro Four Thirds, because I was like, okay, that's like a 1.8 equivalent there. That's a life hack and I get the flippy screen and IBIS? It was supposed to be a life hack, but it was a lie. Whereas the Fuji, Tone 2 wide open, we're still pretty sharp. Sharp enough. Sharp enough. Oh, wow. And the Tone is there. Don't touch your face, there's a virus. So I find this lens, you gotta stop it down to 1.4 to even stand a chance. And then you're pretty sharp, but I bet it's still not as sharp as the Fuji. The Fuji. I just realized I had that dynamic range setting at 200, so now we're in auto ISO for both. Fuji has some clippies over here. This region right there is a little 95% zebra-like, and I'm not liking that. But now that we're in auto ISO, what kind of decision? Oh, Panasonic doesn't show me. Oh, you piece of shit. Where's the focus? Doesn't tell me. 10,000? Are you joking? Are you joking, Fuji? I wonder who has the better low light of these cameras. Let's go do it. Let's find out. Because you'd think it'd be Fuji for sure. See, I can see myself there. Fuji's Panasonic is a loser. Wow. 12,800. What kind of joke is that? Panasonic's probably doing the same thing. Alright, who performs better in a shower log scenario? I do believe we're both at 12,800 ISO. There's one shadowy in the noise-like area. I'm just curious because I use the GH5s for my little book reports on my other channel. I read a book on that couch, and whenever I read something interesting, I'll film a little clip and we'll talk about it. And there's no lights. I don't want to turn on the lights and get all ready like it's just the shotgun mic on there. And it works well, but if the Fuji is better at that with this lens, then I would just sell the GH5s. Get something else. A7S III. It's funny, the Fuji tally light is lighting me. Oh, that's a life hack. I bumped it up to 25,600, although for some reason on the Fuji, it says that's ISO high, so I don't think that's true. And the Panasonic's memory card is full. Oh. Is it just me or is the Panasonic crushing the Fuji? I just looked at the footage. I'm underexposed on the I gotta pay attention to the meters. Why don't I ever look at any of the tools that are provided to me? Oh man, it looked a little darker on the screen, but it just didn't make sense in my mind. Like, why do I have to be at like 4,000 ISO versus 800 on the penny? So right now, we're stopped down to f2 on both, shutter speed 50, and ISO 12,800 on both. So everything is equal. Now the Fuji looks brighter. I don't know if it's cleaner in the shadows. Zoom into the shadows. Who's cleaner in the shadows of life? But then because of this glorious Voigtlander lens, we can stop it down. It's not as sharp, but light advantage, micro loser. So I don't know, Penny did well for himself today. In fact, if I'm sitting on that couch for book report videos, I think I still use the Penny Boy. It just works. It works. I think Panasonic and Fuji might have had a boardroom meeting to decide which was the better system overall for the future. Oh hey Penny Boy, how you doing, little guy? There's a cute little sensor you got there. You still using those? People use them. People like them. Nature photographers, the wildlife. Good luck reaching them. We got the advantage. We're so lightweight. Are you though? I'm seeing a lot of flub here. I'm grabbing that's 90% flub in my hands right now. Penny Boy, you need to go on a diet. I'm big boned. It's not something you can change. I'm a little girthy. Yeah, I am. But I don't overheat like you do. If you turn the LCD off, you can go. No problem. 4K 60. 10-bit. Do you have 10-bit on your 4K 60? We can't, but we have so many great lenses. It just feels good to be a part of our system. We designed them for video autofocus. Did you design your lenses for video autofocus? We do now. We have two lenses. They're 2.8s. Those are good. I just find your whole system to be like a fringe member of society. Like, oh, look, we're different. We have leather jackets. We ride bikes, even though we're 85 years old. You don't really fit in society. We are a strange bunch, but at least our skin isn't diseased looking. We just find colors are important here, and Panasonic tiny micro loser people pretend that size doesn't matter, but in reality, if I wanted to take your lunch, I could have it. I wasn't hungry anyway. Take it. I don't even want it. I could stop you. So in this perfectly lined up shot where you can't even tell the composition apart, they're so identical, which is the more pleasing with just a window light, auto white balance for both. I gotta tell you, I'm not seeing the advantage to Panasonic anymore. Fuji has caught up. Stabilization's not quite there, but it's good enough. It's good enough. Just more pleasing tone, better colors, better dynamic range. What's next? Like, Panasonic needs the G10 or GH6, and then maybe they'll catch up and even surpass. It's possible. But right now, you're fighting a losing battle, Panty Boy. So let me know who won the battle today. I never seem to reach for the Panty Boys. I don't know why. They're very capable. I made a music video on my other channel 100% with the Panasonic G9 and the, Minolta 50mm Tone 2. Some of it was in focus. A little bit. Just the seagull slow-mo. But the 180 frames per second in here can only be turned into a 30p file. You can't turn it into 24p. So I was like, I had to change my whole timeline. But I never really bring this, even though it's pretty glorious. It will lose you eventually. That's bullshit. In the Olympus, I even prefer this to the G9. I never reach for it because the dynamic range king over here. That's like the most important thing now. It's just so pleasing to see it. It's like, oh, you can see the sky? It's so stupid looking when it's all clouds and white. That's not racist. I can't say for sure the Fuji is better than the A7S III. Let's be real with ourselves. That might be the one camera to surpass it. But man, wouldn't those be two great systems to have? You might not even need both. I think the A7S III could do everything you need, so could the Fuji. You'd have to choose. But I think if I was starting over from scratch, I had $7 million, I might buy an X-T4 still and the Sony A7S III, and I would donate Micro Four Thirds cameras to hamsters so they could tear apart the inner components and make bedding. That's the best way. So we're done. Thanks for watching. Thanks for buying a Camera Conspiracies t-shirt. Wow. Those are available in black. So beautiful. I'm gonna leave. Subscribe for more videos and I'll see you later.